We have more from Neon now with Shirley. A prize-winning hit at the Sundance Film Festival last year, this Josephine Decker-directed drama from a script by Sarah Gubbins based on the 2014 novel fictionally spotlights the often scary ways and means of real-life author Shirley Jackson, played here by Elisabeth Moss. Emmy winner, multiple Emmy winner Elisabeth Moss, I might add. Executive produced by Martin Scorsese, the widely praised Shirley mellows a bit of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and in my opinion, The Shining. Now, we're going to talk about Shirley with Elisabeth and Josephine in a minute, but before we do, I want you to get a sense of what I mean. Here, take a look at Shirley.
So when's the baby due?
The baby?
Oops. Was it supposed to be a surprise? You should have told me that, dear.
Well, I hope it's yours. Of course it's his.
February. Right, darling?
I would really rather discuss something else if you don't mind.
February. Huh. Did you tell him you were knocked up before the wedding?
I fear, my love, stories of copulations might leave the table without an appetite. But that one does have a sixth sense about babies. Calls it. Girl or a boy, she's never wrong. Is poor Freddie here going to be disappointed?
Okay, shall I?
Stay put. You promised to take care of that.
As you wish, dear.
So, Rose, you were telling us about your shotgun wedding.
Excuse me.
I should see if she's all right.
I feel a bit like we're in the Scottish play. I, the Thane of Cawdor, with a murderous prophecy o'er my head. And you, Lady M, on the verge of madness. What will happen?
Well, as we saw in that clip with a little bit of Macbeth, Shirley Jackson is an extraordinary role here with many levels and not always in a pleasant way, to put it mildly. So, Elisabeth, I want to get a sense from you, what attracted you to this role?
Kind of exactly what you just said. I think that it's rare that you find a female character who is so challenging and challenging as to me as an actor, but also challenging to the other characters in the film, and has so much vulnerability and so many soft spots, but is also so strong and so vocal and sometimes not very nice. And it was this fully fledged, really interesting, complex character that Sarah Gubbins wrote, and I was dying to do it, and I didn't know if I was going to get the part. And I think there was an offer out to somebody else, and I was like waiting. And then luckily that wonderful actress didn't have the space to do it, so I was able to get in there.
When you get, obviously, Elisabeth, we know you from so many roles, your Emmy-winning roles on The Handmaiden and Handmaid's Tale and many others. How do you get in the mindset for a role like this? Because obviously, I have to ask: is it emotionally and psychologically a toll?
No, not for me. Joe knows that I'm a kind of actor who's very much. I pop in and out of it. I pop in and out of character, and I pop in and out of scenes, and I tend to leave it behind as soon as we say cut. Sometimes before we say cut, I'm over it. I don't like to do the same take twice. I don't like.
I feel like there's an in joke here that you're not sharing with us.
No, I don't remember
any talking about my process in front of somebody who I feel like knows it really well. She knows I don't really like rehearsal, all of that. So no. Anyways, to answer your question, wasn't at all, and but that's just because that's not the kind of actor I am. And between Sarah's script, which was so fully realized and beautiful, and then conversations with Joe, conversations with Sarah, conversations with Michael Stuhlbarg, smooching off of all his research that he had done. Between all of that, it wasn't, there was so much information, I think, to take from. And then we also had this freedom of that it is highly fictionalized. So, Michael and I could take kind of pieces of what we wanted for Shirley and Stanley, and then we had this luxury of being able to go, well, we don't have to be exactly accurate, though, in our version.
Now, Josephine, for you, I mean, as Elisabeth mentioned, there's so many emotional highs and lows, and they weave in and out of this. How do you, as a director working from Sarah's script, but how do you construct that? Because it's so, I want to say, beautifully calibrated here. And I'm not going to give away the end, but the way it gets to that end. What was your process for being able to put the film together like that?
Oh, thank you for saying that. It definitely was a process. I think a lot of that was in the script, and I think something we worked in the edit to try to bring out even more was that how unpredictable Shirley was, and how at one minute you would feel that she would just like lure you in and you were like her most like intimate friend, and then the next minute she could like discard you from her house like you're trash. And I think that was, and in a weird way, I think what was exciting about this, the film hinges about a friendship between Shirley and her tenant, Rose, who's kind of helping take care of her while her husband works for Stanley, Shirley's husband.
I would use the word friendship in big quotes.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But it's a complex relationship. I think as a woman, when we say the word friendship, maybe we just mean all those things, because I think almost every female friendship I have, there's maybe on a more subtle level, there's layers of all that. But yeah, I think it was exciting to see how when Shirley was almost like more cruel and unpredictable, you saw that Rose almost latched harder to her. She was more intrigued. She was more interested. She's like, oh, can I win this woman's love? And so when we were working in the edit, also we were working to bring that out and bring out that sort of, the power dynamic and that sort of almost codependent thing, that also is reflected in Shirley's very complicated relationship with her husband, Stanley.
Well, and I actually want to talk about that. Elizabeth. You mentioned, your work with Michael on this, a marvelous actor. How did you guys find that? Because there's such powerful chemistry between the two of you in what is, to put it mildly, a severely dysfunctional relationship, yet a very supportive one simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, I am possibly his biggest fan. I know we're all fans of Michael, but I would consider myself his biggest. I saw him in a play in Pillowman when I was like 20 years old and have followed him ever since. And if I'm right, Joe, I don't think we talked about anybody else for Stanley. Like, he was the only one we went to. And how do you not have chemistry with Michael Stuhlbarg? Like, he's just the most alive, complex, interesting person and actor. And so I really think you'd have to like not have a pulse. But I think that, we have very different processes, him and I, and he's much more methodical and does a lot of research and really thinks about it. Whereas I'm sort of just like a bit of a chaotic situation of just instinct and it's just a bit of a mess. And
well, it certainly works here. Those contrasting, whatever the methodology was, the outcome is dynamic.
Well, I think it provided some excitement because we were so different, but we also have so much respect for each other as actors, and it was fun to try. Oh, okay, you wanna do it that way, Michael, and okay, great. I have so much respect for you, so let's try it that way. And I think it went vice versa, and it really allowed for us to both, I think, stretch ourselves a little bit into, I was stretching myself into his world and him into mine.
Well, thank you so much, Josephine and Elisabeth, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't seen it, you've got to see Shirley.